There's a clip right now going around of Alex Hormozy on the Diary of the CEO podcast where he talks about how there's all of these big, huge creators, especially like with short form video, where they've got millions, if not tens of millions of followers. And there's a bunch of failed projects that they have launched because they have views, but they don't have influence. And I think that's different. And it's very similar to celebrity endorsements as well, right? There are a lot of big celebrities that when they endorse something, you and I are like, who cares that someone endorsed this thing, right? But if Kim Kardashian endorses something or if David Beckham endorses something, everybody wants to buy it. I think that's true influence rather than celebrity, right? And I think there's a difference between those two things. And you're starting to see it in the creator world as well.
Yo, Justin, what comes to mind when you hear the word LA influencer?
You're not going to like this. I do not have a great relationship with LA. I'm going to say people who only care about your followers, very shallow. And yeah, if you don't have over 1 million followers, you're like a nobody to most people out there.
Let's unpack that. What kind of experiences made you think they were shallow?
So, like, again, don't get me wrong. I like to visit LA. I do not like to stay in LA. I think there's a difference there, right? I'll usually go out there 2 or 3 times a year, and it's great because I get to see my grandparents. They live out there. Shout out to Orange County in Westminster. But whenever I'm there, I just feel like there's this aura of I only care about what you can do for me. And again, that might just be the people that I know out there. Like I have some good friends out there. Shout out Sam, shout out John, shout out Justice, etc. That live out there, and I love those guys. But there are people that I interact with through some of the events that I go to while I'm out there that it almost always feels like, what can Justin do for me, rather than yeah, what are we trying to just get into today, or what are you most obsessed with? Like I like those conversations rather than trying to figure out where the next brand deal is going to be, or um, if you can help me open up the door with this agency, or whatever it is. But that just, again, that just might be the people that I've been around at the events that I get invited to.
Yeah, that makes
What about
sense.
you?
I feel like, yeah, I feel like I've been in LA. I've been living here for about 2 months now. I just actually signed a long-term lease here. I joined a content creator house. I have two long-term leases, like one in SF, one in LA actually. Me and my boyfriend split the cost, so that's how we do it. That's how I have two leases. Because I get asked that a lot. I love it actually. I feel like LA's so big. It's like 30, 40 million people or something like that. And it's so diverse. There's so many pockets of people out there. You can find like everybody here. It's like very like racially, socioeconomically, like profession wise, like just diverse of everyone. And there are definitely pockets of people who are like, what can you do for me? How many followers do you have? And like profile you that way and have a very exclusive VIP section, have like segregation, like social segregation events and stuff, like really exclusive events. But like once you get to know someone more, or like the right people or the right circles, then it's really awesome. And I feel like people there that I choose to hang around with are really genuine. And I think there's like fake people like that you mentioned about how they just want to use you everywhere. In San Francisco, like it's also pretty common as well, but there's also like so many people in SF. There's like 1 million people that you'll find your tribe. So I would say like just because like you had a bad experience with like 5 people doesn't mean everyone is that way. But I feel like LA is like known to be that, just because like it's Hollywood, it's acting, entertainment. It sounds like such a sexy job everyone wants to do. So there's a lot of demand for that, and a lot of like people preying on people's like desire to become like a model, an actor, a fitness model and stuff. And so there's a lot of that out there. But I would say like the main difference I've noticed between like LA and every other city in America that I've noticed is like the events are a lot more exclusive. You have to know somebody to get in, and if you're a nobody, it's hard to get in. And I was lucky because I knew a lot of people from like LinkedIn, Instagram already, and that's why I enjoy LA a lot. But I would say like advice to people who don't know anyone. I like looking at Luma events, like Luma slash LA events, and just like signing up for these and like meeting people. These are generally like people new to LA, but like meeting a group of friends and they'll invite to more and stuff. Um, yeah, that's the general vibe. What about like people in Austin? Are they like that too? I see Austin as like nature health freaks.
Exactly. Yeah, 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 yeah. I think I like Austin, but again, I kind of had a network going into Austin. So I think that helped too. Like to your point, right? I think when you start from a place of knowing people, it helps no matter where you're going, right? For you, you had influence beforehand, whether it be through LinkedIn, Design Buddy stuff, etc. Like you might not have been close with people, but you knew people in LA or the LA sphere. Whenever I go into LA, like I know of people, but like not super super close. And my first interactions in LA is when I didn't know many people. Right, I was just getting started in the creator world. So again, my views are a little bit different than some. Same thing with Austin in the way that I knew a lot of the people that I was going to be hanging out with before I actually fully moved to Austin. And I would say I'm coming from a place of luxury in terms of the way that I built my life, but the way that me and my wife look at it is we always try to test places before we actually make a big move or anything like that. Like for Austin, we did South by 2 years in a row. Then we did a 1 month stay in Austin to test it out long term. And then we did a 2 month stay to test it out long term to see if we really liked it before moving. Obviously, people's jobs and things don't necessarily allow that. But again, I take the privilege with what you have, and we were able to do that before we actually made the move. And because of that, again, I knew the Creator Camp boys out here. Shout out to my boy Tony, who introduced me to a bunch of other people out here as well. And I think that's what allowed me to make the transition into Austin a little bit better. But to your point, everybody here is like super fit, a little bit naturey, and the Austin mentality is like keep Austin weird. You get a little hint of that as well. Like that's kind of like the three pockets of Austin. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but for me, it was like again growing up in a small town in Connecticut. I'm not a big, huge city person, even though I like being close to a big city. Austin gives me that happy medium of if I want to go downtown, I can, but 10, 15 minutes outside the city, it doesn't even feel like you're in one of the biggest cities in the US.
Yeah, Austin's cool. I've been to Austin at South by Southwest thanks to you who hooked me up with
Yes, sir.
Jerry from South by Southwest. It was just fun. I love that. I like Austin as well. But kind of diving into topic of LA. So I I feel like LA people are obsessed with Labubu, Air One, and pickleball, and wearing athleisure everywhere, specifically Lululemon and Aloe. And in terms of like the health scene, the thing that surprised me the most, it didn't really surprise me. It did kind of surprise me. Is like the health scene in SF seems like the tech bros just want to optimize biohack worship Brian Johnson who made Blueprint. Brian Johnson's this dude trying to live forever. He tweets a lot about things, interesting topics. On Twitter about like he takes like 200 pills a day and spent millions of dollars trying to like extend his life. So like um as some people worship like that, just take a pill and be healthy. And in LA, it's all about the lifestyle, like people, but also like optimizing too. Like there's so many events that are like freaking 6 a.m. in the morning, or like morning beach meditation, run club at 6 a.m. In SF they start at the same run club, like founder run club, and start at 9:30 a.m. in SF. Um, and then in LA, like I just feel like people sleep earlier and wake up earlier, and SF people like grind through the night and like sleep at like 5 a.m. because I like to work hard. But in LA, it just seems like people are more relaxed. They're not like really trying to build a not all trying to build like a unicorn startup. They value wellness, which I like. Um, and also, the creator scene in LA is where I've been hanging out the most just because of who I know here and the people I live with. Is they're all obsessed with Labubu's. Um, What do you think about Labubu? Have you seen them around Austin too? I have a Labubu right here. It's my friend gave it to me. It came in a blind box, and I named it Justin because my boyfriend's name is Justin. He sleeps a lot. Yeah.
I I hate Labubu's. I hate like any collector thing. Like it just doesn't make sense to me. Like I understand why it's a thing. It doesn't make sense to me of like why you would spend money on it though, right? But yeah, I hate Labubu's. I know what they are. My cousins love them. They got into it before like Labubu's really blew up. I think the funny thing with LA is it seems to all be about culture, like culture and being cool or being seen as being cool, right? And if you're not keeping up with whatever that latest trend is, you're not quote unquote cool. And again, I think that kind of plays into the mentality that I kind of dislike, right? I don't, I'm kind of the zag when everyone else is zigging type of persona. So if you think something is cool, then I'm like I don't like to follow the crowd. So do I understand Labubus? Yes. Would I ever buy one? No. Side tangent. I just think that Labubus are a part of the overall epidemic of finding unique ways to get people to gamble via blind boxes and things like that. But that's a conversation for a whole nother day. But yeah, I don't think that the Labubu trend is helping that at all. What is also crazy though is have you ever seen the Pop Mart stock since then?
Oh, I have not tracked that stock market. I know it skyrocketed pretty much, right?
Yeah, if you go and check the Pop Mart stock, it's like $1 billion
Oh,
company now. Over like the past
wow.
year, I think, all off of Labubu, blind boxes, and everything like that, because they're the creators of it.
It is crazy. So I did some digging about Labubu, how it originated, why it exists. And essentially, Pop Mart is this blind box company. They sell like action figures and collectibles started in China. And what is unique about Pop Mart is everything is sold in a blind box. So you get a box, and inside the box, you can get one of six characters or figurines that are on it. So essentially, it's gambling. You're trying to gamble for the rare one, and then 1 in 70 Labubus could be like a special gold one, like a rare one. And people sell these for like $10,000, $20,000 on the secondary market on eBay. So it is very much gambling and it's targeted towards children, which is kind of scary. And Labubus really got popular. So a lot of the Pop Mart stuff, they either license stuff from like Sanrio, Pokemon, like other characters, or they get it from artists. So Labubu is actually done by an artist in Hong Kong. And then it was in Pop Mart. And how it really got popular is people saw like Lisa from Blackpink wearing it on Instagram, and then follows suit like a bunch of other celebrities wore it, and then it got popular that way back in 20 like mid 2024. It's like that celebrity influence got popular, and then now like every time a new Pop Mart store opens, at least here in LA and SF, there's always like a long line, people waiting from 6 a.m. or 2 a.m. trying to get a Labubu. It is kind of crazy, and honestly, I used to think Labubus are kind of ugly, but after like seeing them so much, I think they're kind of cool because they're like a bunny, and I love bunnies. You know, like I run design buddies, so like how can I like not appreciate a bunny? So now I like low key kind of want one. Um, and I'm really happy with like this like sits on my desk, just stares at me, and I kind of like want one to like hang around my bag as well. I don't know, the market has grown on me, but it's kind of crazy. And there's also like so many creators out there who like do like open like unboxing videos on Labubus, and those tend to do really well. It's like watching people gamble, but it's kind of crazy.
So you are a part of the problem, Grace.
I
You
am. I am. And I would say like before I used to be like you, like in the sense that I like to be weird, like to zig and zag. I still like to zag because I think normal is boring, but just like your environment influences you, being like painfully self aware of my brain is like I feel influenced by my environment. Like it's like a fashion statement, you know? It's like I want to be like the cool kids too, because I think it's
Great
cool.
Grace is turning from founder into influencer right before our eyes. We're seeing it live. Everyone who's subscribed to the pod. Um, I think the fun, not the funny, the unique thing from the creator lens, right, is how much money people can make from these things. And like, have you ever heard of Whatnot before?
No, I have not.
So Whatnot is kind of like TikTok, but strictly for live streaming. and more specifically live streaming opening things and selling it.
Mm,
So for
that's so
instance, like you,
specific.
yeah. But like if you think about it, how popular Pokemon has become Yu-Gi-Oh, things of that nature. Basically, what creators will do is they get their pack of like their big bag of Pokemon packs or whatever. They go on Whatnot, and if they're a popular creator, they're like, okay, this pack is we sold it for $10 before opening it, and Grace just bought this pack. I'm gonna open it up for Grace. So Grace, you're not opening the pack. I'm opening it for you, and I'm opening it live. And then whatever cards are in it, I send it to you.
Oh, interesting.
And
Is it
so they
American
take the.
platform?
I believe so. Yeah. It's a startup.
Okay.
I think it's like
Oh.
probably unicorn status at this point.
Oh. It's giving Chinese social media with the way you described it.
Yeah. But it's like TikTok Shop, but on steroids specifically for sort of opening things. It's actually kind
Mm.
of insane. And these creators have built insane business models off of it.
Hmm. That's crazy. I look at the whatnot.com. Would you ever do this? Get blind boxes and gamble?
Yeah, I've never been on it. I just know because I've like paid attention to it a little bit. It is insane. I think they're
Hmm.
a unicorn. I could be wrong though, but I think they are.
Probably are. What do you think is the future of our generation? Like teaching gambling to kids, having influencers flaunt their gambling habits and influencing kids. Every kid wants to be an influencer now. And what do you even think of the word influencer? Like being called an influencer.
I don't like the word influencer, and I think especially nowadays that term has just been blown out of proportions. Like there's a clip right now going around of Alex Hermosi on the Diary of the CEO podcast, I believe, where he talks about how there's all of these big, huge creators, especially like with short form video, where they've got millions, if not tens of millions of followers, and there's a bunch of failed projects that they have launched because they have views, but they don't have influence. And I think that's different. And it's very similar to celebrity endorsements as well, right? There are a lot of big celebrities that when they endorse something, you and I are like, who cares that someone endorsed this thing, right? But if Kim Kardashian endorses something, everyone wants to buy it. Or if David Beckham endorses something, everybody wants to buy it. I think that's true influence rather than celebrity, right? And I think there's a difference between those two things. And you're starting to see it in the creator world as well, right? I would argue Mr. Beast has great influence. KSI, Logan Paul, those people have great influences. But how many people who have millions of followers try to launch something and you never hear about it ever again because it likely failed, right? And that's the biggest difference between the word influencer and creator, I would say. I don't think that they're synonymous as most people use them. Um, to your point about gambling, I think it's really bad. And this is coming from someone who I do dabble in sports gambling, but more just for the thrill of the ride. Like I literally have a spreadsheet that tracks the amount of money that I have put into it, and I do it to gamify the sort of sign up bonuses and everything. So I am up money overall, and I will never lose money because if I ever lose all the money in my accounts, I will never play again. But I'm just playing with house money at this point. I think it's really bad with the sports betting stuff. Um, I can dive deeper into it, but I don't know if you've ever like looked into sports betting at all and like what's going on just on the gambling side of the creator world.
I have not, but would really love to dive into two things that you mentioned. What do you think makes someone an influencer? Like, what do you think like reaches that threshold of like becoming a cultural icon? And also gambling. I assume it's like but putting money on like which team will win after a game, but I don't know much about that world. But apparently sports are a big part of our culture and gambling on that too. But first question is, what do you think makes someone an influencer versus just a career?
Like, so for instance, we'll take design buddies, right? I think design buddies actually has good influence because you guys have shown that you can convert on a product, in this case co-create, right, selling on your guys' platform, and that being a
Mhm.
good bunch of your revenue, right? So I think that's true influence. In terms of just being a creator, again, how many products has Charlie D'Amelio launched that we never hear about ever again?
So many. I saw a documentary about it.
Right? Like she has a ton of followers, more followers than likely you or I will ever have in our lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think she's sold a ton of product. And that is why those products you never hear about again. Right? And that's the difference between creator and influencer. There's a case study out there where I believe it was Patreon paid, I want to say Lil Huddy and another guy like millions of dollars in upfront revenue to start a podcast specifically just on Patreon. And I think the statistics between them, they had tens of millions of followers, right? Likely almost hundreds of millions, which is insane. But between them, they only got, I believe, like 5 to 10,000 monthly recurring revenue from the subscribers to the podcast, which is terrible. Like that
Yeah.
is awful that you have, let's just call it even 20 million followers, right? And even if you make $10,000 a month at a $5 subscription, that's only 2,000 people out of 20 million plus followers converted.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm.
awful.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a difference, right? We've talked about cults a lot in this podcast. I think the best creators, the ones with the most influence, have cult-like followings, and you see it whenever they try to launch a product.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely do dive into cults a lot, and I'm definitely trying to build a cult. Well, I
Have
definitely
you
have
have
a
you
cult.
seen any influence or any big creators, like big follower creators, try to launch products and it not necessarily work out?
Ooh. Hmm. I can only think of like really popular examples because I feel like if they try to launch a product, then I don't hear about it again. I forget about it. I've probably seen them, but I just like don't remember them in my head. Um, but I almost bought Feastables at the grocery store, and I saw it, but I didn't because I'm trying to eat healthy. So I did. But I was just like googling. I was like, I'm like, no, 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 healthy great. That's how much influence it has. Like, I like to call myself a nonconformist. But I'm still a conformist, and I'm like trying not to be.
Says the one that's buying La Booboos over here.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so random, but I don't drink alcohol at all. But one time I was out with some friends at KBBQ, and I was like not gonna drink, and I got peer pressured into drinking like 2 soju shots, and I felt hungover, and I was like so mad at myself for like succumbing into peer pressure and feeling like terrible the next day. So I committed to not drinking again. So I don't know, like I still have like a lot to work through about like not conforming, but at the same time, as a creator, you have to follow trends. Or one of the ways to get popular and to grow your influence and following is following trends because people can relate to it and connect with you and build that parasocial relationship with you. So there's that like two things going on in my brain. It's like, okay, I want to be different, but at the same time I'm a creator, and sometimes like things that go viral and get that dopamine and give you more money is a trends. So yeah, there's just two parts battling in my brain.
Yeah, and again, I think from a creative lens, right? Like you have to do some trends or figure out what's working from an algorithmic standpoint, but the best ones are able to combine that with personal insights or personal flair or whatever you want to call it. And that's where I believe the loyalty really comes from, right? When they start to see themselves in you or your product or whatever it may be. And I think that's more important than just views, so to say.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting to see from a business lens what happens with Cluely, right? Because they're getting
Mm.
great views, but are they building loyalty? I don't know. But
Ooh.
it's interesting because if you don't understand the content world and like influence and cults and things of that nature, you might just see the numbers and be like, okay, this is amazing, right? And as from, let's just say you're an investor, you're like, okay, well, views go up, revenue has to go up, right? But I mean, we have shared a few examples where that's not necessarily the case. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Cluely. Again, just because I know you and I both know people on the team, we're probably rooting for them and we want them to succeed. But I don't know what's going to end up happening. They're doing some really unique stuff over there. That's for sure.
I love it. I saw the Times Square billboard and their furry commercial and their AI military commercial. It's like the Hills Hat story, and then they're like, "But clearly saves me." AI. Anyway, it's just like some unhinged things that my friend. I love it. I love it. Here to say it. But I'm also curious. Dive more sports betting. What is sports betting, and how have you participated in this?
Yeah, so sports betting's in this weird spot where it was illegal pretty much everywhere besides like I think Vegas and a couple other states maybe. I want to say like 4 or 5 years ago, maybe a little pre-COVID, it was pretty much illegal everywhere. But then they passed a law where I believe federally it wasn't illegal, and now it's like state by state type of thing. And so since then, companies like DraftKings, FanDuel, Prize Picks, yada yada yada, have just been trying to pick up market share, depending on things. So there's sports betting, which you kind of talked about, where you can bet on everything from who's going to win this game, player stats, how many shots they get, how many shots on target they get, things of that nature. I mean, from your running standpoint, because I know you run, you can bet on people's times, like for Olympics and things like that, if they're going to finish the 400-meter in X time or Y time. There's also different platforms where they skirt around states that don't have sports betting that's legal. Like for instance, Texas, technically sports betting isn't legal, but like fantasy sports betting is. So FanDuel and DraftKings isn't legal in Texas, but I can still fantasy bet via Prize Picks where I can press up or down on if I think a player is going to beat that stat or lower that or be lower than that stat by the end of the game. So there's that kind of nuance in the sports betting space. I think the scarier part is because there's no restrictions around advertisements of it, sports like football and basketball, especially over the past year or two, have kind of become really annoying to watch because there's almost always a sports betting ad within the game. Like you'll be in quarter one of a basketball game and it'll say the odds of Boston Celtics versus the Miami Heat have just changed to like from negative 100 to plus 100. And that is being shown to anyone of all ages, right? And it's very similar to, I'm not sure if you ever watched like Mad Men or whatever, or like the show around like marketing, but like back way when you could just advertise cigarettes to anyone, like on TV ads and things of that nature, we kind of saw the effects of that, right? And you're kind of seeing that with sports betting because it's the wild west and they make so much money. And we're not even I'm not even touching on Twitch or like live streaming. Live streaming is crazy with their streams as well as what is it called? What's the other streaming? Kick. Kick is a whole
Mm.
animal in and of itself.
Kick is new. I met one girl who streamed on Kick. But I'm so curious, like when you talk sport betting, how much money are we talking about usually? Like what's an average bet on like a team that will win, like a soccer game or
So,
something?
I mean, I only put like 5, 10, maybe $30 on these things whenever I have a little bit more money. Like I've won a few times, right? But like I know people that have made millions of dollars via sports betting. I also know people that are like in thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars in debt because of sports betting. So again, the pendulum always swings. If these companies have so much money, that obviously means more people are losing than winning, right? The odds are almost never in your favor. I just kind of do it again. I'm throwing $5 bets into this thing. It's not going to end my life, type of vibe, like put me into crippling debt. And again, I keep track of everything that I win and lose. A lot of people don't do that. A, but B, if these companies have so much money, that means the odds are likely not in your favor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you take that with a grain of salt every time you look into the sports betting space.
Mm. Yeah, that's crazy. Gambling from a kid to selling sports betting. And, in the older generation, like people older than us, like people in retired age, there's casinos on cruises who bet on getting a free cruise. So, um,
Have you ever gambled at all?
no, I don't think I have. Um, I mean, I probably bought like one or two blind boxes in my life, honestly, but that's pretty much it. Like the Labubu was gifted by a friend, and I'm like, maybe my friends will give me Labubu's for my birthday, maybe, cause I'm hosting like a bunny party. But my mom, um, maybe I shouldn't talk about this, but she loves cruises, but she's actually really good at this. Like, there's a strategy to this. So we go on princess cruises, and there's like I think like cruises and gambling at the casino is like really predatory, especially for like people who are older, or who care about like what other people think of them. But it's also a whole cult. Like there's this thing called the Princess Players Club. It's a Facebook group that I joined. Because my mom's like really active in there. They share like tips on like casino tips and winning free cruises, and they're like obsessed about winning free cruises. My mom actually like she's been really strategic about it. She's really good at networking, so she put in some money and got like 10 times the returns of the free cruises and cashed out from that. But I'm just saying there's gambling for life. From like gambling when you're a kid, like La Booboos, to like gambling from you're like an adult, like fantasy and like sports betting. And then like, and also like gaming, like RNG, like Maple Story is definitely gambling. Okay, so I have gambled on Maple Story, the RNG thing. Um, and then gambling when you're older, when you like cruises to get like free cruises. There's a whole cult. Like I go in there, like people have so much to say about it. My mom made so many like good friends through in the casino. It's like a bonding time for the people, and usually people there are like about 50, 60 in the early, just want free cruises. So I don't know, it's interesting. Gambling. Mm.
The gambling world, it's crazy. Like do you ever like, I guess if you don't gamble, is there anything that you do from a vice standpoint then? You don't gamble, you don't drink. Like I don't drink either. Gambling is
Oh.
kind of that vice for me.
Uh hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I don't drink, I don't gamble. But like I don't do drugs, I don't do shrooms, I don't do weed, I don't do any of that. I guess no, I learned what this word means in real life, but I'm raw dogging life. Like I learned what raw dogging was, and I didn't know it was supposed to mean that. But like, you just like raw dogging life, you know? You don't need anything. You know my addiction.
That's fair.
And
That I mean,
I don't know why that would have put it.
no, I think that's fine. That's how I've explained it as well, right? Like for me, the main, like not the main thing, but the little thing that I do is like gambling a little bit via the like prize picks or whatever. But yeah, like I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do any of that. It's always interesting because people, whenever they see me at like events, they're like, dude, how do you do this? How do you go out and like you don't drink? I'm like, yo, I'm just having a good time. Like that is all. You know what I mean? But yeah, it is crazy how a lot of the very big businesses of the world are built off of some sort of vice. I mean, you could argue that both of our vices is around getting money, as much money as possible, right?
Oh
Like
hell
maybe
yeah,
that
yeah.
that might be it, but yeah, it's always interesting having this conversation with people. That's for sure.
Yeah, I should ask you what their is that too much of a personal question though? Or maybe not. I ask you what their vices are.
So here's my take on personal questions. I think we need to ask more of them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we ask them enough. And that's why a lot of people don't have deeper relationships with people.
What's like a good personal question to ask someone when you first meet them if you want to build a deeper relationship with them?
You put me on, I don't know. Do you have a question? I think mine's always like asking my gauge of how close I am with someone is if they share how much they make with me. If I
Mm.
can get them to share.
Mm-hmm.
But again, for some reason, and I've kind of talked with with people that I'm close with, I feel like I have this unique superpower where people easily trust me. I don't know why, but that seems to be a good thing. that I've noticed happens really quickly with people around me. I don't. I wish I could tell you more about why that's the case or anything like that, but like there have been numerous situations where I have been told personal things without me even asking that have no reason to be telling for them to be telling that to me.
Hmm. Interesting.
But like what
And I
is
have
your question or what is your personal question
to.
that you like to ask?
It depends on what the topic is, but I think money is a good one. Um, I like talking about fears. What are you avoiding? Like fears, actually. Fears and yeah, fears. Goals maybe? But I also get that sometimes, like probably not as much as you, but strangers also share the deepest, darkest secrets to me for some reason. Um, and I can tell if it's okay. Like I love deep conversations. Like I can spill my life story. I can spill my deep dark secrets anytime. Um, but if I had to gauge with the other person the same level, like I'm like an open book. Like I can talk about anything without judging anyone. Oh, I think we both like are non-judgmental. Like we don't say like it's good or bad. We just like listen and ask like targeted, like really specific questions to show that we're listening. And I think that's why. Um, Personal question. I love learning about how much money people make and how they make money. That's also a way. People tell me about a trauma they had or like something struggle they're dealing with, or they had a bad day, then I feel like that person is getting closer to me. They tell me about like something vulnerable they had or like a fear they have. Then I think that's a good thing that I can talk about my fears and my pain points with them too. But I had to like wait for the other person to start first because I used to like overshare a lot like as a kid, and then some people like didn't like give and receive the same energy, so I just felt really naked and awkward. So um that's why I gotta hear the other person first. I
I
If
was gonna
anyone's
I was
talking in
gonna
thought, yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna ask if you have a test story that you share to kind of get people to become more
Ooh.
vulnerable.
Yeah, I could talk about how as a kid people told me to die. People told me to kill
That
myself in
is
the crib.
not a test story.
Wait, actually no, that's not a test story. Just kidding, just kidding. That is not I think I told that story recently with some friends, with some creator friends talking about like stuff, but I guess test story is about like why I quit my job. Because people always ask me why do you quit your job? And like if I'm not close with them, I'll just say that I was bored and I want to do something new. But I guess I could say this on the pod since y'all are our besties and listening for so far, so I consider y'all as bought in. The real reason, I don't know if I told you either, is I almost got pipped. Um, I almost got pipped because I was
What does pimped
really
mean?
hyper. Oh, performance improvement plan. It means that you're like almost getting fired. It's like this like last call before you get fired. And the reason was I was a um really high performer when I was like first 3 years of working, and then I just felt really unmotivated because a lot of my ideas were shut down. I had to like really play the politics game, in my opinion. And I know this is how the corporate world works, and this is why like I don't know if it's a good fit for me. That I stopped being motivated to like perform that well. And I didn't actually get a pip, but I could tell I was probably about to get a pip. My skip manager told me that I needed to like work really hard again. Otherwise, I need to reconsider my spot on this team. Um, and I took 3 weeks to reflect on it, ended up quitting my job. And I felt really hurt at that time because it came from my skip manager, not my manager. My skip manager was actually the one who hired me, and I was really, really sad about that. Um, and I think like leading up to it, like I felt unmotivated. Like I want to work hard. I always want to improve myself, but I feel like I wasn't given the opportunity to. And I just felt like kind of stuck, and that's why I reacted that way. But it honestly like, kind of hurt, so I left. I'm always like trying to do my best, but the scenario was just like I'm like felt like no choice. So yeah, that's why I left. Anyways, y'all on the pod know why I left.
No, I mean I love being vulnerable. Shout out if you are subscribed to the pod, right? You get some juicy insights from both Grace and
Yeah.
I. But
Hmm.
no, okay, so that's kind of your little story to get them to open up, is just to share a little bit deeper of why you're doing what you're doing right now. Kind of like your story, so
Hmm.
to say, right? Behind
Yeah.
Design Buddies.
Apparently, almost getting fired is a very relatable experience for a lot of people, actually. That's what I realized. Yeah.
You'd be surprised, right?
Uh huh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's okay. I think the other question that I like asking besides money is, what are you obsessed with right now? Because I don't think a lot of people get asked that.
Hmm.
And I think it throws people off. And I'm like, no, no, no. I'm not talking about what's happening in the industry right now. Like, what is something random that you're weirdly obsessed about? So, like for me, I can talk about credit card points, right? That's kind of like my go-to. But I've had people talk to me about how they're obsessed with like cleaning their counters right now, and how something can look clean, but if the light hits it at the right angle, it's actually not clean, right? And you're just sitting there and like trying to scrub and figure out why this thing is not clean right now. And like I love those conversations because they're so random, but I think because they're so random, people are open to being more open with you because they don't get to talk about that with anyone else. Typically, you only get to talk about that with probably like your significant other. So they feel like relieved that they can share this random thing and not be judged to this other person that's on the other side of the conversation. So those are the two sort of questions that I like to ask in these types of conversations.
I started asking that too after you mentioned that. What are you obsessed with? And it's been really fun. I guess like I can tell someone's like surface level with me
Yeah,
if they're just talking about like industry
any
trends.
unique stories that you've
Hmm.
heard from the obsessed
I've
question?
only tried this at a couple of events. And these are like the LA like influencer manager beauty events actually. And I feel like kind of bring our topic back into LA. Oh man. Most people are nice, but some people like I could tell they're very like sorority girl like really clicky. You can't really go deep with them. They just talk about the weather for like 15 minutes. And I tried this question on them actually. I was kind of getting bored. I was like, okay, what are you excited about? What are you obsessed with? They talk about, oh my god, yeah, I'm so excited for like this like AI in the beauty world. I'm like, oh, okay, 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 okay. Probably
Just
not. I'm like,
lame.
great talking with
Like
you.
next
I know,
person. Like
lame.
there's no
Yeah,
depth here.
exactly. Thank you. Next. Yeah, and like, I mean, I've talked to some other creators about this. Like, some people are obsessed like cooking Ethiopian food, or like winning at pickleball, like becoming a professional pickleball player, or like being really good at sewing and stuff. So it's like complete side quests with them. So I don't know. I like that's a really great question to get really in deep. Usually I just ask people like, what are you excited about these days? And then some people say like, I'm excited to go on vacation, or like I'm excited to watch this new TV show, or like I'm excited about La Booboos or something. I don't know.
See, like for me, I think that stuff is cool, but the real determining factor is, are they actually obsessed, right? Because the person who's obsessed with the show is different than the person that just watches the show. Like I'm looking for the
Mhm.
person that knows everyone's backstory, that knows the lore behind this stuff. Because I want to know those things. I can watch a show, right? But I'm not going to be obsessed of it enough to know that the director thought of this because he went on this trip or whatever. Like that's the insights that I'm looking for. Because that really shows me that you care about something,
Mhm.
right? Because like for instance, like you could say AI in the beauty space, but if I dive deeper into that question and you're just like, oh yeah, like I saw one cool thing that this brand did. I'm like, so you actually aren't obsessed with this thing. You're just using corporate hot lingo with me. And that's what I'm trying to get away from. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah, especially when I ask people like, "What are you excited about?" They're like, "I'm excited for good weather." I'm like, "Oh, you're boring."
But like if you told me, okay, so I agree. Good, the topic overall about good weather is boring. But if you were like, the weather is good right now because in the spring we had this happen, and like the again, just making stuff up here, but the high temperature and the low temperature are combining, and that's why we have really good weather right now. And like you could dive into it, and I could feel that you're a
Ooh, I love
nerd.
that.
Like I
Uh-huh.
like that, right? But if you're like, yeah,
Mm.
Grace, like Wednesday's gonna be really hot this week, and I'm like, okay, like what do I add to that conversation? I can't even ask you a question to dive deeper into that because it's clear that you don't know or care really about the weather. You just didn't know what else to say.
Oh my god, yeah, I agree. Yeah, there's so many people like that everywhere, not just LA, but everywhere. But speaking of basic things, what do you think about Air One?
I have never been to Erewhon. I literally watched a video of Newt. I'm not sure if you know who Newt is, but shout out to Newt. I don't know who he is personally, but he's putting the Vietnamese guys on the map. He's a cooking content creator based out of LA, actually. I've been watching him since he was in his mom's like mobile home, just doing cooking videos and talking about Nook Mom and everything like that, which I love. And he's like killing it now. He's in like a high rise, all new, furnished, everything like that. And he did a video yesterday. I think he was like, I'm feeling a little depressed today, so I went to Erewhon and bought all the ingredients that I needed to make like a matcha tiramisu or something like that. And he was like, these eggs are $20, and it was like I think 12 eggs for $20, which is absolutely ridiculous. And he was like, do they taste any different? No, but I bought it just for you. And I mean, I love it. I get it for the content. I don't understand what Erewhon actually does. But talk about masterclass of branding, right? Like they clearly get people in the door and are spending money over there.
Yeah. So Air One, I did some digging into this as well. I've been to my first Air One LA a while ago, and I had like a culture shock. Um, I feel like Air One really highlights the spectrum of like health freaks in LA. So Erewhon was started by a Japanese American family, and Erewhon actually means like a utopia where everyone's like health, like a utopia as in like everyone's like healthy. And it's actually super hard to get into Erewhon as like a food company. They have like lists of like 20 plus different requirements, has like non-GMO, can't have high fructose corn syrup, blah 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 blah. Um, and most people know Erewhon as like the $20 Hailey Bieber smoothie with sea moss, the $50 sea moss, the $19 strawberry on TikTok. But I feel like Erewhon is like Whole Foods, but like 3 times ish more expensive. Actually, like most things on Erewhon are not that much more expensive, to be honest. I've been in there, looked their prices. It's like probably $1 or $2 more than like Whole Foods or something. Or I don't know the prices of everything, but it doesn't seem like significantly too crazy. I just think like social media made like the $20 smoothie thing kind of blow up. Um and I've seen a lot of creators like make content about Arrow. What was crazy as recent research into this. So there's this creator, her name is Chef Bay. She's a celebrity chef in LA, and she makes content about Erewhon, and she has earned Erewhon like almost $3 million of like earned media. So she's just like directed a lot of customers to Erewhon. Yeah. And I think going to Erewhon is like high key like a status symbol, just like these LA girlies like to walk around with, like matchas and like air, but they do it with like Erewhon smoothies and La Boo Boo playing pickleball or something. Um,
Again, LA
like
is all
Lily
about
Wan.
status, right? Like being cool, right? Like you can afford to go to Erewhon.
Exactly. That's apparently really sexy. Um, but it's kind of cool. Like, I don't know. I like low key. I want to go to like Erewhon, Beverly Hills, and just like people watch. And also like a lot of celebrities shop there, so people go there for a chance of like running to a celebrity, but also to show off their social economic status, or if they're just like really making poor decisions with their money and buying $20 smoothies that they can probably make for $2 at home. Um, but it's cool. I like it. There's like a lot of unique selection of things you can find in Erewhon. And I feel like I'm also like influenced by LA. Like I like these like health things. I think they're cool. In fact, when this is not sponsored, I literally got a bunch of these at Coffee and Chill, which is a whole other event in LA. These are like Newtonic productivity drinks. They have like I even didn't read what's on here. It says feel your focus. They have all these words I can't like pronounce, but it's supposed to be like really healthy for you. It have like lots of vitamins and stuff on there. Um, yeah, it has no sugar in it too. So, Yeah, no, I'm like I can I think they're trying to get into Erewhon, so it's like kind of an
Okay.
example.
I'll
But
have
I don't
to
know,
I'll
I
have to
like
actually
it.
go into Erewhon the next time I'm over in LA. I've never been
Yes.
in one. I think I was
Hmm.
just like, to your point, and they might be doing this from a branding standpoint, which makes a lot of sense. I could probably assume and agree with you that most of the stuff is just a slightly more expensive than like a Whole Foods or whatever, but they do have those crazy expensive things that they kind of anchor their brand around, right? Like the
Hmm.
$19 strawberries or the $20 smoothie or the $20 eggs or whatever, that because the price is so stupid, it just makes it seem like this thing is super valuable, or just going here is super valuable, right? And I think it's great. Like from a branding standpoint, they're amazing. Never been there, so don't have much more comments on that. But can I kind of related to this topic? Can I talk to you about sort of cost of living of things in like different places in the world? Because I think
Yeah.
I was doing a little bit of a comparison over the weekend, just to compare what it might look like to move back to, or to work in New York or something like that, right? Because there's a lot of creators there. I know of friends that have moved to New York recently, and I just wanted to see what the economics were compared to Texas. It's actually kind of insane.
Yeah. Yeah, tell me about it.
So I live in a 2-2 in Austin. So 2 bed, 2 bath with me and my wife. I want to say it's like 11 or 1,200 square feet or something like that. So super spacious. It's a great size. I need the second room for my office, right? This is where we're at. That costs us about 2,500 a month after utilities, Wi-Fi, everything like that, and we get fiber Wi-Fi here, which is really nice as well. You got a pool, you got a gym here, great amenities, um, overall solid. My expenses, I don't think like we don't spend a ton every month. It's like usually 15 to 2K a month on like groceries, going out to eat, things of that nature between the two of us. So like total expenses, we're looking at, let's just call it 4 to 4,500 a month, right? I was looking at places to rent of if we wanted to keep the same lifestyle, right? But in the Northeast, New York, Connecticut, whatever it may be. In Connecticut, and this is in Stamford, Connecticut, we're looking at 4 to 4,500 just for rent a month for a nice 2-2. That's kind of similarly comparable to this, usually smaller, which is insane, right? So that's already a 2K difference there. Price of food's more expensive. I have to pay to go on the train if I wanted to commute into work, things of that nature. It basically brings it up, and where in Austin we would spend 4,500 a month on expenses. In Connecticut, we would spend around 7,500 a month in expensive to live the same sort of life, right? Which is crazy. And when we were doing the math even more, I realized that I could fly to New York every week by just taking the cheapest flight, right? Like Spirit or whatever. If I really wanted to stay at a friend's couch, because if I just wanted to do it myself, right, to further the creator world side of things, I would still make, after taxes and everything, I would make or be able to save, I think it's $20,000 more if I commuted from Austin to New York every single week compared to if I actually moved to New York or Connecticut, which is insane.
Yeah, I didn't waste so much time like on the train commuting to work and stuff. This is Connecticut. What about like New York
I think New
apartments?
York would be worse if we wanted to spend a 2-2. I think I think our expenses would actually go up to probably around 8. Again, this is us not downsizing, right? If we wanted to maintain the same sort of size apartment, amenities, things of that nature that we have today in Austin, that's the premium that we would have to pay in those cities. Again, we could downsize, or like if we wanted to downsize, we could into something a lot smaller and like find a place that was 2-2 for around like 3 grand or whatever. But I was just doing literally same lifestyle, what it would look like over there. And it's crazy that it's literally cheaper if I stay in Austin and just commuted from Austin to New York,
That's
and stayed at a friend's
insane.
couch compared to actually living over there.
Yeah, wow. It reminds me of like how I saw on the news there's like UCLA student who lives with his parents in Berkeley or like in Bay Area and just like commutes to LA every like 5 times a week for lectures. But he saves like I think he only saves like $2,000. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it's something crazy low a year for like not paying rent or something. Um, wow. How do you feel about like the logistics of flying to New York every week and like crashing on couches and not having like a strong routine?
So like for me, I don't care about crashing on couches. Like I can fall asleep anywhere. Like that doesn't matter for me. And I also don't mind the grind. Like it brings me back to when I was in college. Like the idea of it, right? And the reason I say that is because when I was in college, again, I had more energy, but I wanted to try and stack as much money as possible. So I would intern at Lockheed Martin, and at my internship there allowed me to clock in at any time, and I could only work up to, I believe it was 25 hours a week there. So I would go in for 3 days a week. I would try to get in at like 6 a.m. because that's when the office would open. No one on my team would come until like 8, 9 o'clock. So I wouldn't have to do anything, but I would just be in the office, right? I would usually leave by, depending on the day, like noon to 2 o'clock, right? And then Lockheed was about a 15-minute drive to my job at Universal Studios, where I was just a cashier. And so I would usually 2 or 3 days out of the week, I would go from working at Lockheed from 6 in the morning, um, work at Lockheed till 1 or 2, then go and work at Universal from either 2:15 or 3:15 till 11:15 at night, and then go home, play Xbox with my boys until like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, and then wake up at 5 o'clock the next day and do it again like 3 times a week. So like yeah, I can grind if I need to, and I think it's fun every once in a while. Obviously, this would not be that level of grinding if I wanted to commute to New York or something like that. But it was funny to go through the sort of money exercise of it all, and
Mm.
seeing what the premium is to live in places like that. Like obviously, right? Like you're a little bit different, right? You live in you've got a place in LA, you got a place in SF, but you've always lived with roommates, right? You've never gone off on your own, right? Maybe because in SF, right, it's too expensive to do it, right? To like rent your own 1-1 or 2-2 or whatever it may be, right? But because I'm coming from a place where in Florida, we've always had we had a 2-1 in Florida or a 2-2 in Florida, and then we came here, we have a 2-2 here as well. Like we value our own space, and to see what to have that same lifestyle compared to Florida or Texas, but in a high cost of living place like New York or SF or LA, it is insane the premium that you have to pay. Let alone if you want to go shop at Erewhon on top of that, right? So
Yeah. Yeah, I actually never lived alone. I either lived with my parents or in a group or a hacker house or a creator house. My parents are my housemates. um, yeah, I never considered like having to move out. I've always like loved living with people though, because I feel like I always surround myself with like cool people and like learn from them. It's overall like a net positive. But yeah, because I'm paying like 1,700 a month in SF for a big house. I think it's like total like 3,000 square feet. And I think the LA one is like 4 or 5,000 square feet. It's pretty big. It's actually like LA's like cheaper than SF. So my room is like twice the size, or 1.5 times the size of my room in SF. I have the biggest room in the house. I have like a walk-in closet, my own bathroom, like a master bedroom. I'm paying about
that's
two thousand
nice.
dollars a month. Yeah, $2,000 a month on this one right now. About $2,000 a month, I think. We're trying to negotiate down, but about that much. Um, yeah. So and I'm splitting this with my boyfriend. So I'm paying about 1,700 plus 2,000 divided by two. So that's how much I'm paying.
So what was that 3,700 divided by two? That's like 1,850, I think.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, that's not, again, that's not bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're used to living with roommates, right? You've never done the opposite. And so I think
Mm.
that's the difference as well, right? Like I'm
Mm.
used to being alone. I to go and like have roommates is a completely different sort of mentality, I would say, right? And
Mm.
again, there's no right or wrong answer. It's just more of what's the lifestyle that you're used to. Like the closet
Yeah.
that we have in our master bedroom, we could literally fit like a queen size bed in there. That's how big it
Mm.
like that's how big the walk-in closet is. It's actually kind of insane. But like to go
Wow.
from that where some New York apartments are literally the size of a queen bed, like that's all you have,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
crazy, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
it was insane to see what rents are like, what cost of living is like, commute costs and things of that nature would be, um, if we were to like move to a different state or anything like that, because we have family back up in Connecticut and things. But yeah, it's crazy that I would literally be able to save money, um, if I commuted from Austin to New York rather than living in Connecticut and commuting from Connecticut to New York.
Mm-hmm.
Insane.
Yeah, it also depends on the lifestyle you want to live because I feel like especially if you're young or anyone, you're deeply influenced by the people you surround with. So that's why like I think it is good for especially people in like their 20s or even like people in life who want to grow to live in a big, at least in my opinion. I've always lived in big cities most of my life. I grew up in a slightly suburban area, Cupertino, but it was still like more city than um about the same amount of city as I am in LA right now because LA is like pretty suburby. Um I could say that like being an SF has definitely inspired me to build a startup and make a lot of money. And I think like even if you're young, especially if you have the income, I think living in a big city like SF, New York, or even Austin, LA, or Seattle, surrounding yourself with like people who are ambitious will further you. It's like a good investment in yourself. So I would say like if you have like finances too, don't let the amount scare you away because you'll grow a lot because of that.
Oh, 100%. I think, again, to your point, right? It all depends on the lifestyle that you want. If you want to build a startup, you likely need to go out to SF, right? Or at least a bigger city than whatever city that you're in, right? Because you're not going to be around the same people, not going to get the same insights unless you're in wherever that sort of cultural is happening for the industry that you're in. Not saying that that's the only way to do it, but if you want to set yourself up the best way possible, that's probably what you want to do, right? And yeah, no, it is crazy. I've seen it as well. Like I come from small town Connecticut. The mentality of growing up in a town like that versus I mean, we've talked about it too, versus like your mentality of growing up in like adjacent to SF is so different. Like my school growing up, if you went to UConn or you got into UConn, you were like amazing, right? If you went to community college, that was like a good job that you got into community college. And then the real sort of entry path, like I had no idea what tech was growing up. No idea that that was even a job out there. Product manager, like none of that was a thing. It was you likely go to school, again, doctor, lawyer route, right? Engineer for sort of like my immigrant parents' backgrounds, and then or you work in insurance because that's the big industry in Connecticut. Versus whenever I talk to people in SF that grew up around like the SF tech area, they're like, oh yeah, like I have to get into this school. Like I have a friend who went into Michigan or that got into UMich, which is like a top 10 public business school. And because of the caliber of high school that he went to, that was like a bad job because you're supposed to be getting into Harvard and Yale and MIT and stuff like that. And so it's so crazy to your point, right? Like depending on where you grow up, who you're around, so many expectations are different, so many mindsets are different. There's no right or wrong in my opinion. It's just more of what do you want out of your life? You know what I mean? Um, Obviously the internet makes it easier listening to podcasts like this, so that's why you always gotta subscribe to the show. But yeah, it is crazy the differences that you see from the different areas that people grow up in, especially for someone like myself who, again, I was not. I did not grow up around any big metro area. So a lot of people that I interact with did, and their mentality growing up is so different than what I experienced.
Yeah, I can't imagine growing up in a small town either. I feel like life is like so chill. Like going to community college. I went to Lindbergh High School in Cupertino, which is like 95% Asian. It was so Asian, like East Asian Indian, that like a white person wrote an article in our newsletter about how they felt segregated in America as a white person.
Interesting. And I think it's so like everything, especially in the US, right? Where we're such a melting pot, but depending on where you live, the melting pot is different, right? So like
Mhm.
you grew up with a lot of Asians. I grew up the complete opposite. Like my school is like 40% black, 40% white, 15% Asian, 15% Hispanic, 5% Asian. So like literally the complete opposite of your like upbringing in terms of in school. And there's just so many different perspectives out there that I love talking about it because it's crazy.
Mhm.
Just again, you grew up on the other side of the country, just in a completely different way. But here we are on a podcast, just talking about a topic that we love, which is money and content creators. So shout out to the
Yeah.
internet.
We love the internet. Did I ever tell you how I felt like culture shock because there's so many white people on my cross country team in college? In America?
Interesting.
it, was, it was like I was so used to just being around Asians, you know? I felt like I was like a sore thumb sticking out as the only Asian on my cross country team. And I felt like really different than everyone. Cause like, I don't know, like I'll just say the white people on my team, not saying all white people are like this. Um, they particularly like to like they're typical frat bro, sorority girl like types where like dress up, drink, go out. I was a shelter kid, so I just felt like major culture shock and stuff. And I felt like I had no friends and I was sad. Um, yeah, it was just like an Asian having culture shock because there's too many white people in America. But I was like 17.
See, but it's all about right, like depending on where you're at, right? Because if you went to another school, maybe their track and field, like my school track and field, all Jamaicans. Like I grew up with a bunch of Jamaicans, right? Obviously Jamaicans are amazing at like sprinting and things of that nature. Like I ran indoor track for a little bit, got completely humbled by how fast these kids were. Again, indoor track because it's cold in Connecticut, so we can't run outside all year long. But like again, it all depends on where you are, depending on the pocket within the U.S. that you live in, especially in the U.S. Right? If you are listening from the U.S. For me, right, it's hey, just being open to learning about other people's cultures, and I think that's the best thing to do. And again, from a creator lens, right, it's always about for me learning about all these different sort of niches that are out there. Even if you just look at us, right, we don't play in a quote unquote sexy niche when it comes to content world. Me specifically in the career space, like broadly, you in the specific like design space, yes, kind of career as well. These are not niches that most people either care about or know about. But when they hear our stories, they love it. The same way that when we hear stories like Tonester Paints, right, or Xander on TikTok Shop, those are so unique. And I think just having that mentality of like understanding people's stories, maybe that's why people trust us so much, right? Because we just like to hear
Hmm.
everyone's story and they got to wherever they are.
Yeah, I agree. There's no right or wrong way of living life. Stop judging people, all right? I don't think people should judge each other based on their upbringing or any of their interests and stuff.
Yeah. So
Mm.
I don't know. This got a little philosophical at the end of this pod. So if you're listening, let us know if you like the philosophical side, or we should stick to about how creators are making money. We talked about a lot today. Anything that you wanna leave off on Grace?
I think that's it. I know I plan to talk about pickleball and how people are obsessed with it, but I think we can save that for another pod.
Yeah, let's find some pickleball creators and padel. Have you heard about padel? We can talk about
I
that
have
as well.
I have an upper friend running court and crew, Maggie, who like quit her like fintech job to build a pickleball clothing brand. She's pretty cool.
Okay.
So
Let's
there's a huge
dive into
culture thing in
pickleball.
LA.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so random. Like I never thought I'd like pickleball, but I like it, and I don't know why I like it. It's just so fun.
All right, let's save it for the next pod, and we'll talk about it then.
W's in the chat.
Cool. Appreciate
Sigma.
y'all. Peace.
Skimma Rizzlers, thank you. Listening, my Skibbity Rizzlers.